All right, let's get right into it. China's foreign trade it's an absolute global powerhouse. And a massive piece of that puzzle is its e-commerce sector, which is just exploding. But what's the secret sauce, really? Well, we're going to break down a recent study that actually crunched the numbers to find the answer.
And just to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about here, look at this number. Between 2003 and 2022, China's total trade volume, imports and exports, has more than sextupled. Yeah, that's a 6 with an X. That's not just growth, that's a straight-up explosion.
So, the big question is, how did this happen? What is fueling this unbelievable expansion? A recent deep dive points the finger directly at cross-border e-commerce, or CBEC. But it's not just one thing, right? It's a whole mix of factors. And our job today is to figure out which one of those factors matters the most.
So the study breaks it down into 4 pillars. The first piece of this puzzle is what they call the transaction engine. And this is pretty straightforward. It's the simplest, most direct factor. We're talking about the sheer volume of buying and selling that's happening online.
And wow, this chart just says it all, doesn't it? Look at that steady, consistent climb in revenue, year after year after year. Every single year, more goods are being sold, which creates this incredibly powerful and growing foundation for trade. This is the raw economic force we're talking about.
But, all those transactions, they need a way to actually happen. So let's move on to our second pillar, the digital highways. This is the critical infrastructure that makes the entire system, work.
Think about it. You need these super smooth ways to pay, right? Things like Alipay and WeChat Pay. You need unbelievably efficient logistics to get a package from a warehouse in one country to a doorstep in another. And then, holding it all together, you've got these powerful digital systems, AI, big data, cloud computing, that optimize absolutely everything. These are the roads, the bridges, the traffic control of the whole digital economy.
And why are these highways so busy? Well, because people are on them. Back in 2012, China's internet usage rate was about 42%. Fast forward to 2021, and it's jumped to 73%. That massive increase in just getting people online is the bedrock that allows this entire e-commerce ecosystem to just flourish.
Okay, so technology and transactions are obviously huge, but they don't run themselves. And that brings us to our third and, very important pillar, the human factor. We're talking about the skilled professionals who build, manage, and innovate inside this massive system.
Now, this is really fascinating. You can actually see on this chart where the talent is concentrated. There are these clear hubs, with Guangdong and Zhejiang just leading the pack by a mile. Thousands of e-commerce companies. This is where the expertise is really clustered and growing.
But here's a really crucial point from the study. And it's a catch. Even though the number of professionals is growing, there's a serious talent gap. The researchers point out a lack of high-end composite talent. So people who have these complex blended skills in marketing, logistics, supply chain, it's not just about having bodies and seats, it's about having the right people with the right skills.
And that brings us to the fourth and final pillar the study found, development potential. This one is so important. It's not just about the giant corporations. It's about how e-commerce gives a launchpad to thousands of small and medium-sized businesses. It gives them direct access to global markets, letting them innovate and build brands in a way that would have been, impossible just a decade ago. It's like the democratization of global trade, really.
Okay, so we have our 4 pillars lined up: the transaction engine, the digital highways, the human factor, and that future potential. Now it's time for the main event, because the study didn't just identify them, it measured their impact.
So let's ask the question one more time. When you put all of these into a statistical analysis, which one actually moves the needle the most? Which one gives you the biggest bang for your buck in boosting foreign trade?
So the researchers figured out exactly what a 1% improvement in each of these pillars would mean for trade growth. We've got our 4 contenders lined up. Let's see the results. First up, the digital highways. A 1% increase in that infrastructure leads to a 1.141% increase in trade. That's a solid, positive impact. It's the foundation, and it is clearly important. No surprise there. Okay, next, the transaction engine, the pure volume of sales. A 1% increase here boosts trade by 1.386%, so a little higher, which makes sense, right? More sales directly equals more trade.
Now things get really interesting. Future growth potential, that ability for smaller businesses to grow, has a much stronger effect.
A 1% increase here is linked to a 2.212% jump in trade, so empowering new players is a massive growth multiplier.
But here it is, the biggest reveal of all, the human factor. According to the study, a 1% increase in professional talent is linked to a staggering 2.916% increase in foreign trade. It's not just the most significant pillar, it's in a completely different league.
So the big takeaway here is this. The infrastructure is essential, for sure. The sales volume is the fuel. But the skilled professionals, the people who know how to navigate complex global markets, optimize supply chains, and build brands, they are the ultimate force multipliers.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating thought to end on. In an age where we talk nonstop about AI and automation, this analysis suggests that human talent is still the most valuable asset. Technology builds the highways, but it's people who are really in the driver's seat. What does that mean for the future of business and global trade? It's definitely something to think about.